This is the facelifted Skoda Kamiq, a small SUV that's big on personality and novel features. And unlike a lot of other consumer goods these days, the price has not skyrocketed. Shocking, I know. Indeed, this European SUV is almost taking aim at cheap Chinese challenges. Too good to be true? Well, I'm doing the hard yards to find out for you guys. But before we tuck in, what are your thoughts on the rising prices of new cars? Have your say in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And now, onwards. We're testing the top spec Monte Carlo model grade here, which is the sporty athletic member of the family and comes with everything but the kitchen sink. The Kamiq is roughly the same size as a Toyota Corolla Cross, Hyundai Kona or Volkswagen T-Roc. In fact, it's based on VW's platform architecture, so it should be fun to drive. Pricing starts at $33,990 drive away, and this specimen cost $44,990 drive away, which, to be fair, is a long way upstream of the original Kamiq that cost less than $30,000 back in 2020. That sharp entry-level pricing puts it on level pegging with most mainstream Asian brands from Korea and Japan. You can find Chinese challenges in the mid-20K bracket for a car of this size, but they're simply not in the same league as this vehicle. One of the more intriguing elements for this small SUV is a new weekly pricing arrangement in a lease-style contract, which are very popular in European markets, such as the UK. So instead of taking out a full loan and paying that off, which is the most common choice in Australia by far, you can lock in a weekly payment for up to 5 years, but you don't technically own the car. Not yet. At the end of the contract, you've got 3 options. You can buy the car at a guaranteed future value, previously agreed upon, you can trade it in, or you can walk away. For some buyers, it'll cost less than their weekly gym membership, and Skoda is trying to appeal to a new audience with this pricing structure. In terms of after-sales support, you get a 7-year warranty, which is 2 years better than almost all mainstream Japanese rivals. Ownership costs are pretty good too, with reasonable cap price servicing and complimentary roadside assistance covering the after-sales bases. I reckon some Skodas look a little bit wonky, you know, like a Lego car that's been left next to an open fireplace and melted just a little bit. But this one has appeal, and that's thanks to some important visual changes. They're very subtle, but they are important, and it starts with these headlights. The daytime LED running lights in the upper section are slimmer and now get animated LED indicators, while the lower part has been resculpted and upgraded to include advanced matrix LED main beams. Along with the front apron, the car has sportier optics now, along with new fog lights and fresh alloy wheel designs, these ones 18 inches in diameter with stylish black accents. I like that the Skoda and Kamiq lettering on the back and also the grille at the front are blacked out as well. The rear brandishes a subtle new Audi-like lower bumper design, and while the LED taillights are unchanged, you get strobing indicators that aren't fitted to the base model Kamiq. The roof spoiler and roof rails carry over, and despite the relatively minor bodywork changes, I reckon she's a more attractive SUV now, especially with all the blacked out elements. 2 turbocharged petrol engines are offered to Aussie buyers, a 1-litre triple and a 1.5-litre 4-cylinder engine, which is what we're testing here. It generates the same power and torque as the pre-facelifted version, and it drives the front wheels through a dual-clutch automatic transmission. There are pros and cons in here. For starters, there's a lot of carryover items from the previous model. Steering wheel, dashboard design, air vents. But in saying that, it's all still rather nice. And the interior layout is typical of a Volkswagen Group vehicle. It's ergonomic, all the controls fall to hand, it's sensible, and just a little bit upmarket as well. Skoda is the VW Group's budget brand, and you can tell there's a smattering of cheap plastics on the transmission, tunnel, dashboard, and doors. But apart from those areas, fit and finish is above average, and it's a really nice place to spend time, no question. The leather steering wheel, gear shifter, and most major touch points have a premium feel. And while the handbrake is a bit old school and means there's no auto hold function, the leather finish is lovely. You also get red and white LED ambient mood lighting inside, along the doors here, the dash, and a little bit in the footwell. And some customers will also be stoked to know that recycled fabrics are also in use in the carpet mats and across some upholstery as well. The front seats are really quite special for a humdrum SUV, but these cool sports bucket seats only come with this top spec Monte Carlo. But I gotta say, they're really quite comfortable, and the bolsters are insane. They're really, really big. It makes you feel like you're in a bit of a sports car. However, they fit my body perfectly, but if you've got a rotund midriff, it might be a little bit tight. There's no leather upholstery option for the seats whatsoever, and the cloth material is a little scratchy, but it should last. Both front seats are heated, but only the driver gets 8-way power adjustment. Manual only for the front passenger. And when it comes to storage solutions and conveniences, Skoda has always done things a little differently, and the most obvious quirk here is the fact that there's an umbrella hidden in the driver's door. The last time I saw this feature was in a $1 million Rolls Royce. Pretty impressive. Other useful things include this little ticket holder here. Put your parking ticket in there, no dramas. Plus you've got a really large glove box, and the Mega Gulp fits in the door with a bit of a shove, but it gets in there. You've also got cup holders here, which are a little bit weak sauce. They're quite small and there's no spring loading, but there's some rubber grommets in the bottom, which does help the beverage from moving around too much. There's no wireless phone charger, that's a shame, but the 2 USB-C ports have been upgraded to 45 watts, so you get faster charging. I like that. And last but not least, there's a very small little cubby here under the arm, but I like how this slides in and out too. Neat. The 9.2-inch central screen doesn't have the highest resolution I've ever seen, but it is functional, has a good menu system, and comes with built-in satellite navigation. The touch-sensitive buttons around the border are mostly responsive, and there's even gesture control, which is useless but fun. I also love the intuitive steering wheel buttons, which have a premium look and feel to them. The Kamiq misses out on a few features, but I don't reckon they're deal breakers, and the dual digital screens offer loads of customization. Indeed, the 10.25-inch digital driver's display has loads of functionality. There's different modes, there's lots of eye candy, and you can have the traditional twin dials with a map in between showing all your satellite navigation information. Very few other small SUVs offer this level of functionality or this much eye candy. It's very impressive. A reversing camera is part of the package and has reasonable quality and definition. A few different angles, plus you get front and rear proximity parking sensors. It'll park itself too, but there's no bird's eye surround view or 3D mode. The lack of traffic sign recognition is a shame, but it comes with a pretty solid safety suite, including 7 airbags. It has a 5-star ANCAP safety rating that will expire in late 2025. This small SUV is based on the same platform underpinnings as the Volkswagen Polo, but sitting back here, you wouldn't know it. Legroom is very impressive. Headroom is really good too, which is a surprise because when you get these huge panoramic glass roofs, it often eats into headroom, but because it finishes further behind the head, it actually works really well. And for the record, this huge glass roof comes as standard on this model. Amenity is pretty good. You've got 2 adjustable air vents, dual USB-C ports, a nice little LED reading light. I really like the seat pockets too. You've got the big one there, plus a little one that fits your phone nicely and securely. And there's another interesting feature over here. You can put the seatbelt buckle into that little slot to secure the seatbelt for when you want to fold down the seats and so forth. Plus you've got the obligatory twin ISOFIX child seat anchorages and 3 top tethers at the back as well. You've got a power operated tailgate, which is now hands-free as well, so you can operate it without having to touch the button. and it reveals a super-sized boot space. This is very impressive for a small SUV. The only issue is it's very low and there's a big lip here, so pulling heavy things out of that low space, you might need a bit of chiropractic work. You get a space-saver spare wheel, which is better than nothing, and amenity is rather good, with 2 shelves, 1 adjustable strap, and 2 massive shopping bag hooks. It's a shame about the crappy light, but like most SUVs these days, it comes with split folding rear seats for extra flexibility. Well, so far so good, but can the fine form continue on the road? Cue the driving music. The short answer is yes, the Kamiq's fine form continues once in motion. It's really pleasant to drive, and that raised ride height gives you a nice view of your surroundings. And the engine, it's perky and diligent. There are no changes to the engine, but VW's turbo-petrol donks have always been pretty handy. And this one has plenty of mumbo for such a small size, and has more torque or thrust than almost all its rivals. Indeed, throttle response is pretty good. Drop the hammer and acceleration is prompt. And even at highway speeds, when you've got to overtake a truck or something, it hustles like a busker on Boxing Day. The slow speed lethargy that is sometimes present in these dual clutch gearboxes hasn't reared its head on this particular test. But I have noticed on several occasions when switching between drive and reverse and vice versa, there is some significant gearbox hesitation, and especially on inclines. Thankfully, it steers really nicely. True blue, this is way more fun than it should be. The cheeky front drive SUV tracking through corners with remarkable resolve. You can really dial up the tempo with confidence in this vehicle and actually have quite a bit of fun. It's fair to say you get all the benefits of the Volkswagen Group's impressive suspension components without having to pay full price, or the Volkswagen tax as my mate calls it. Ride comfort is also very good, largely because this Monte Carlo model is fitted as standard with adaptive dampers. That means the suspension can adjust. Now, this one only has 2 modes, normal and sport, but I actually prefer that because normal is soft and comfy, and sport is, well, firm and sporty, and there's a big difference between the two. It's not like you've got 3 or 4 settings and they're all kind of the same. This, in turn, improves refinement levels, and the way it sails across mildly rutted roads and smaller potholes is very impressive when you put it in the softer suspension mode. Combine that with a relatively quiet cabin, and this vehicle feels every bit the European import. It's an excellent urban explorer, and together with all the advanced driving aids you could want, it's also a very pleasant and relaxed vehicle to punt around in. Fuel efficiency is surprisingly good too, and although we couldn't match the official claim, our overall fuel consumption figure was nevertheless very good, and better than some hybrid models we've tested in recent times. This little crossover that's part hatchback, part SUV has reasonable ground clearance, so you sit quite high and you have pretty good sight lines around you. And together with big windows, overall visibility is quite good. If I had to sum up the drive experience in one word, it would be polished. The gearbox isn't perfect, but almost every other measurable driving metric is either class leading or very close to it. Skoda has done a very good job packing in more equipment and features to this small SUV, while avoiding an insulting price hike. Together with a strong warranty and a novel weekly payment alternative, there's every chance this could end up being Skoda's best-selling vehicle in Australia. It'll be interesting to see if Aussies warm to the idea of weekly payments, but even if that sales strategy is a flop, there is no denying the Kamiq is better value than before, and a ripping alternative to other budget SUVs. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and leave a comment if you feel like it. Tell me what you think about the rising cost of cars these days. Are they just too expensive?